The question brought before the text is this: YHWH, give a glorious revealing of the Urim Thummim now in these last days. That will be done. The lead verse is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 28. The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance of YHWH Elohim, the vengeance of his temple. That word is not quiet. It is deliverance, yes, but it is deliverance with a public face. It is a declaration in Zion carried by those who have come out of Babylon, and it is tied inseparably to the vindication of the sanctuary. So the first answer to the question is not a private unveiling. It is a witness. It is a word for the assembly, not for a hidden circle. Has the ark entered the camp? The text says plainly that it has been seen. In Revelation chapter 11, verse 19, the temple of Elohim in heaven is opened, and the ark of his covenant appears in his temple, and there comes lightnings and voices and thunderings and earthquake and great hail. That is the text speaking for itself. But recognition is reverence, not leverage. The camp that knew the ark was present still fell that day. So the appearing of the ark here is not a token to possess. It is a mercy to receive and a summons to consecration. The glory of the ark is not the glory of a relic. It is the glory of the covenant presence. When the priests carried the ark, they carried the throne of YHWH. But the ark did not save the camp by its presence. It only bore witness to the one who saves. So the revealing must be met with repentance, not with curiosity. The request asks for Urim and Thummim, and the answer opens the whole architecture of hidden sanctuary. But the sharpest point comes in Colossians chapter 1, verse 27. The text names the hidden thing among the Gentiles and defines it as Messiah in you, the hope of glory. That is the text's own identification. The glorious revealing requested is being answered with the person of the Messiah dwelling in a consecrated people, not with the recovery of a stone or a lot. The old hidden thing was kept behind the veil, approached only by the high priest. The new hidden thing is revealed in a body of people. The light of Urim and Thummim is no longer only in the breastplate of the high priest. It is in the living body of the covenant people, because the hidden thing is Messiah in you. The high priest wore the Urim and Thummim in the breastplate of judgment over his heart, so that the people's judgment would be borne before YHWH in love. The hidden light was tied to the heart of the priest. Now the hidden thing is Messiah in you, the hope of glory, and that is the heart of the new covenant written not in stone, but in flesh. The question says now in these last days. The text meets that now directly. Malachi chapter 3 verse 1 declares that Adonai will suddenly light upon his temple, even the angel of the covenant. Daniel chapter 9 verses 20 and 21 show prayer at the time of the evening priestly offering answered by the swift flight of Gabriel. Joel chapter 2 verse 17 places the priests, the ministers of YHWH, weeping between the porch and the altar. So the appointed season is real, but the text ties it to intercession, not to a date to be seized. The revealing belongs to those who stand in the gap, not to those who watch for spectacle. The appointed season is not a date to be seized. It is a season to be sanctified. The text calls the people to keep the appointed assemblies and to bring the offerings at the time set by YHWH. The revealing comes in the order of his calendar, not at the demand of the clock. The warning in the draw is equally clear. The lead verse is a word of vindication, and there are sharp indictments scattered through the text. But the overall polarity is affirmative with a pastoral warning, not a caution that cancels the yes. The warning is the refiner's fire. Malachi chapter 3 verse 3 says he will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he will purify the sons of Levi, so that they may approach YHWH with an offering in covenant faithfulness. So the revealing is yes. It is given for a consecrated priesthood, not for profane curiosity. The text also warns that the unclean who approaches the holy things will be cut off, and that no foreigner, not of Aaron's offspring, approaches to burn priestly incense. The nearness of the glory is fear as much as hope. The question of revealing is also a question of inheritance. Throughout the text, the Levites are told they have no portion in the land because YHWH is their portion. The hidden light belongs to the same reality. The priest does not own the light. The light owns the priest. The revealing is given to a people whose inheritance is the Lord himself. That is why the glory is not a possession to be guarded, but a presence to be received. The Urim and Thummim were set in the breastplate of judgment, by which the priest inquired of YHWH for the covenant people. The revealing is not for display. It is for inquiry, for direction, for the discernment of the covenant. The inheritance of the priest is not land. It is the Lord himself. That is why the revealing cannot be possessed. It can only be received. It cannot be controlled. It can only be obeyed. The mathematical layer confirms the direction of the text without replacing it. The deterministic inquiry answer is yes, affirmative, with a strong anomaly classification. The data shows a statistically confirmed non-random pattern across multiple independent channels. The Dominion triad convergence exceeds the strong anomaly threshold with multi-channel confirmation. The pattern is robust to permutation controls and survives the false discovery rate correction. Prospective replication is recommended to establish persistence. The polarity balance is affirmative. The convergence confidence index is 100% with all 6 channels active. The global anomaly test is extreme. But these numbers only confirm what the text already says. They are the echo, not the voice. They do not stand in place of the word. So the answer is yes. YHWH will give a glorious revealing of the hidden light in this appointed season. The text shows it as the opened heavenly temple and the ark scene, as the sudden coming of the Lord to his temple, and as the hidden thing made known, Messiah in you, the hope of glory. The revealing is not an object to be displayed. It is a person to be received and a consecration to be undergone. One real tension remains. The draw is saturated with old sanctuary architecture, yet its clearest hit relocates the hidden thing from temple furniture to the indwelling Messiah. And so a plausible reading is that the revealing is inward and in the body, not a physical artifact. That does not overturn the yes. It disciplines it. The answer is offered between the porch and the altar in the fear of YHWH and in the hope of glory. The lead verses drawn in this altar of reception session were Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 28, Joshua chapter 21, verse 12, Malachi chapter 3, verse 10, Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 15 to 16, Ezekiel chapter 43, verse 19, Daniel chapter 9, verse 20 to 21. 494 further verses were drawn in this session. This concludes today's interpretation at the altar of reception.